Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. I was just watching Theresa May in the House of Commons talking about Brexit and trying to defend her deal that no one seems to like. And the interesting thing when you watch this is how, I suppose I'd say from the start, I'm more inclined to the Labour Party, not the Labour Party per se, but the ideals, the idea of people versus money. So I should say that out front. But yeah, I do understand these days that it doesn't matter which party, neither of them, do what you want them to do. They just serve themselves. Or, Tony Blair's a perfect example of that, and he was a Labour Prime Minister. And yet it was no different than having a Tory Prime Minister. But what's interesting is when you listen to them talk is how they seem so reasonable. Like I was listening to Theresa May and I was thinking, yeah, okay, she's made some good arguments, it makes sense what she's saying, I believe her. And then Jeremy Corbyn will stand up and will counter her, and then I'll listen to him and I'll think, oh yeah, he sounds reasonable as well, and that makes sense, and oh yeah, he's questioned that. And then she'll come back and do the same, and I'll think the same thing. And I don't know if that's purposely done. They will argue the same points and put their own spin on it, as it were. And so neither of them will. Well, they'll just say the other person's wrong, and then the other person will say, no, I'm not wrong, and that's it. And there's no real resolution to it. It's a very inhuman way of debating. I mean, maybe that's a problem because it is a debate, but it just doesn't seem like you actually get anything out of it, that no one will ever. What I mean is if all the time one person is saying this is right and the other person saying no, this is right, how is that possible? Surely as a logical person you can understand that can't be correct unless it's the perception that we're looking at, the perception. But what I mean is they actually, talk about clauses and articles and actual parts of the 585-page document. This one, it means this, and then the other person say, no, it doesn't mean that, it means this. I mean, unless it's worded in a way that it can be ambiguous and you can't really decide which way it is. But this is probably why, nothing really gets done, and why they can talk about this forever. I mean, they've been talking about it for over, I think, nearly 2 hours now. And despite everyone appearing not to agree with it, including her own party, she's still defending it. I guess the thing is she can't turn around and say, no, I don't agree with it. Yeah, you're all right. I don't like it either, but this is all we can do. Or there's there ever been any concession in the House of Commons where actually a human person will actually say that, oh yeah, I didn't think about it that way, you're right, yeah, that's a good argument, and yeah, oh, I didn't think about that, yeah, I'm wrong. I mean, that is normal human behaviour, isn't it? Like when we have conversations with each other, and I know some of us are very headstrong, but, we are able to reflect and admit when we've got something wrong or our understanding is wrong. But when it comes to politicians, they don't have that. And then I was just thinking about, me, I always go off on these podcasts about, how the system that we're in, and we need to change it, and we need to live a better life, there is a better way of doing things, and we need to get rid of money and all this, that and the other. And then when you watch these politicians, you see how difficult that reality would be, and that's why it hasn't ever happened, because they cling on to these things, these words. Everything is written down, and it's funny because I was thinking about they're defending words. That's what makes laws. We're governed by words. And then I was thinking, it's funny that in the Bible it's it's written, isn't it? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Trying to suggest that in the beginning was the Word. That was the initial first thing. And that word was God. I wonder if that means God's language. That would actually make sense, because we all communicate is the difference between us and animals. Well, even though animals do communicate, but the way we communicate is so much more different, is what makes us different. We communicate ourselves into existence and everything we do is written down, and we go by those laws, isn't it? So God is everywhere, and so are those words, and God governs everything, and those words govern everything. Have I found God? God's words. And it was there right in front of us. Is that why we make words so important? Because it's true, isn't it? My job here is based on a contract that's written in words. If you have insurance or if you have a mortgage, the only minute you get it is when you sign a document of words. This Brexit deal is 558 pages of words that sets out what we're going to do. So to bring down the system, we need to get rid of words. But that's the problem, thinking like this whole Brexit thing's taken years, and then back and forward, and then, she didn't even vote for Brexit, but she's standing up for it now. Even when they ask her in your heart of hearts, do you think this is good? She'll still defend it because she's become a role, a position. Like when a doctor puts on his coat, she has to be that person despite her own personal beliefs, which is lunacy, really, because that's lying then, isn't it? Or pretending. Because you have to do it because that's your job now. Well, your job circumnavigates the fact that you're a human being and you have your own thoughts and feelings and you can't express them. If you can't express them, well, how are you acting as a human being? But it's just now when I see this complexity of things, and I know I always knew this, but the fact is, because people hold on to all this stuff, they hold on to politicians, we hold on to law, we hold on to documents and words and all this kind of stuff, that it will always be in our way when coming to change things. Because imagine if you wanted to change, like surely we all realise now that the world we live upon has been divided up and given names, and all those things are man-made concepts. They're not real things, in the sense that, England isn't really England. It's just what we call this piece of land, and I'm not really English, I'm a human being. We're all one species. All of that stuff that I always go on about, that I'm sure most people goes over their head, but how would we change that? Oh my goodness, we can't even change this really small thing of leaving this group called the European Union. Imagine what the legislation you would need and the negotiations to say that, okay, from now on, we're going to be one planet, one realm, one existence, one land. We're not going to be called England and America or Russia or China or Israel. We're all going to be one thing. We can have names for them, but we're all going to be one dominion, ruled over by one species, for the betterment of that one species, not, having these borders and saying, we will fight you and you're different than us, and, we're not going to help you because you're not us. Get rid of the us and them and just having I, all of us. Imagine how long that would take. If when you think about how, when you listen to them talking about Brexit, it's impossible. It is impossible, because also the people in power, they don't want these things. They want to keep their sovereignty. They want to keep things in the place that they are. They don't want us to acknowledge that we're all one species and we all inhabit this planet and no one has claim upon it. And this is all things from thousands of years ago that we're living on now, that we've, the stories that we consider to be true, but they're not true, not more true than anything else. They're just stories that, a person just made up this name of being England and we've run with it. And I'm English, and and you must be patriotic, and you have the right to vote, and here's your passport, and this is yours, and we're going to look after you, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the reality, the actual reality, is an Englishman, an American, a Jewish, Israeli, I should say, a Iranian, a Chinese, a Russian. None of them are those things. What they all are is one human species. We are one species, all the same. and we all live on this planet, and we all should be working together for each other. But now I see that H.G. Wells, I think, I know I always mention this, he always said the only way this utopia, as it were, would happen is if there was a big, nuclear war, and majority of people were, like 4/5 of the world were destroyed or whatever. And I think that is the only way, because then people would all these documents would get burned, and all this stuff, and all the people of the past, and all that would be left, hopefully, would be all the politicians. They're probably hiding in their bunkers, and then they would just create the same world. But hopefully it would be, that people would rise up out of that and create a better existence for us all. That the actual reality that we live in, that we all deny every single day because we don't know about it, because we've been taught we're English and we're in England or wherever, and whatever nationality you are, because that's what you've been taught. But that's all, it's not lies, but it's a construction. It's just a way to live. But it's not the best way to live. The best way to live is that we all acknowledge each other as being the same, and we work together like we would do, as if, like I've mentioned before, if we went to Mars or something, if it does exist, that's how we would do it, like we do on the International Space Station. Everyone works together for the betterment of each other. That should be done down here. If you can work it up there, why you haven't worked it out down here? Because of all these bloody words. Alright, take care, take it easy. God bless and peace.